Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Interesting Ideas with Stan Husted. It's our 12 to 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer sometimes, just to share some thoughts and ideas that might be helpful for you as you are seeking to become world class in not necessarily the company that you build, but maybe world class in the way you perform your role in life and perform in your business place. We all have a role in life, and unless we are so blessed that somebody has endowed us with so much money that we don't have to go to work, that's what we have to do. We have to perform in both our life, our relationships, and those crucial relationships are most important. And then how do we perform in the business? About a couple weeks ago, during the hurricane crisis, I did a podcast in which I said about the lady wore lipstick for showing her rumbled out, shook out, blasted out, so sorry to see house in Naples, Florida. But then I had the commentary because I was so impressed by the fact that as she was leading the lady around who was taking the interview, she'd kind of gotten ready for it, and she wore some nice lipstick, and she looked good. She looked, and she dealt with all of the difficulties and was sad and lost so many things. And then toward the very end, she said, "Well, but these things can be replaced, and we can start over again, and we're thankful that we have life itself." And that was what the program was about. And of course, it could have been repeated many, many times, and I'm sure it's being repeated right now as I'm keeping in touch with my Florida friends who did survive it. Fortunately, they survived it with not nearly that type of difficulty, just minor damage around their home. But that struck me because after I did that program, the amount of people who listened to it went way up. Now, I'm fortunate that we've got a number of good listeners, but it just went way up. And I couldn't figure out why it went way up. And I wondered, is it because I used the word lipstick? I'm trying to figure that out. Well, that led to a question which somebody asked me. And here we go. Stan, is it okay to wear lipstick to the office? Is it okay to wear lipstick to the office? And I didn't know how to answer that. But I asked around, got some insight, and I'd now like to answer that question. Is it okay to wear lipstick at the office? I'm Stan Husted. The program is sometimes kind of funny, maybe trivial, but always interesting ideas, and the program begins right now. Well, here we go with the lipstick question. The question came, as you would expect. Maybe you can't always expect, though. It came from a woman, a younger woman, but not real middle-aged yet, an attractive young woman. She showed me a little picture of herself, okay? What about, is it okay to wear lipstick? Now, what I discovered is that there's a lot of controversy about that among our women. Some people feel, no, that isn't something you should necessarily put an emphasis on. And the problem is, as someone once said, and this was true of the woman who was there, is she had some nice bright red lipstick. And that could also be the issue of whether you have lipstick or whether you have bright and bold lipstick, or perhaps you even have healing lipstick, like, the proverbial chapstick. And I'm assuming, as I said, this came from a woman. My answer, if you're a man, no, don't wear lipstick. Wear chapstick, that's fine. But no, I'm not going to get into it. No, if you're a man, don't wear lipstick. But what about for the women? What should they do? Well, here's what I have discovered. And so if I'm right or wrong, correct me either way. But the idea is that perhaps trying to have and look like a bit of a glamour shot is not necessarily appreciated by some of your colleagues. It maybe says too much. It's too bold. It's too bright. It's drawing attention to you. And so, no, you shouldn't wear lipstick like that to the office. After all, this is not a cocktail party. This is not a formal big dress-up event. This is going to work. And so there was a mixed opinion about this lipstick deal. And I totally was not aware of that. But here we go with the advice that I would certainly give her. It's up to you. You decide. If you want to wear good, bright lipstick and be you, you just do that. Yes. Whatever makes you feel better, whatever makes you feel more attractive, whatever makes you feel more dressed up, whatever makes you feel good about your appearance, do that. Now, of course, there is in the office certain appropriateness that perhaps should be maintained. Now, back in the older days of when I went to school, and then when I taught school, there was actually quite a dress code. In fact, having a dress code in school, particularly high school, when I was doing that was not to be argued with. It was just accepted that there is a certain way that boys should wear their hair and how they should dress, and the same was true of women. And my wife tells me that and she grew up in the cold part of Minnesota, is that when she went to school, girls were not allowed to wear slacks unless the 7 o'clock news on WCCO radio had a certain low temperature. And if it was below a certain low cold temperature, then it was okay for the girls to wear slacks to school. Otherwise, they were to dress appropriately. Yes, that's in even my lifetime. So that is the point, and that is the question. But I think this is leading to what'll be a bigger question, and it's not just about lipstick. And I just state my personal preference. My wife wears lipstick, and she wears pretty bold lipstick on most occasions, and I think it's very nice. She's a nice-looking woman, and she always takes time to look better, as she says. And when you're my age, you have to work at it. She says, looking better is high maintenance for us. And I came back and said, looking better is high maintenance for all of us. Now, part of the problem is we are now going BTO, and that is now for everybody. Okay, I'd love to hear whether I've alienated or affected or offended, or if I've been right about my advice about the lipstick question. But now we want to talk about something called the BTO, and we'll be right back. Well, some of you know what BTO is, don't you? It's back to the office. Right now, there's a big controversy as a number of companies have said, no, the COVID thing was the COVID thing, and we worked from home. But no, we're going to do very little of that. We're just not going to do it at all. It's all of that. Some people are saying back to the office. Some are saying, okay, we'll make it more flexible at the office. Sometimes you can work at home, and sometimes you have to be at the office. And then there are actually some people who are negotiating. They're offered a good job, and they're negotiating whether they should, what is the proportion of BTO they have to put in, and things like that. Well, of course, lucky you, and perhaps lucky me, A lot of people do a lot of work in which they have no choice. They have to be on the work site, or they have to even be on the work site, off site, someplace else. And no matter the weather or what, they have to be at the office, wherever that may be, at the work site, wherever that may be. So I just want to reflect on that and say that is something we will have to deal with. But I will tell you this, again, quite old school. Image is not everything, but it is the first thing. And I can tell you that when you make an effort to dress even more than appropriate, but perhaps with a little bit of class or style, however you would define that, it helps. It makes a difference. I oftentimes had to realize that when I was doing enough flying to occasionally get an upgrade, I discovered that the fact that I always, as I was taught as a young man, whenever I took an airplane flight, I dressed up for it. I dressed appropriately, oftentimes in a coat and tie, or a coat and a turtleneck if it's something like that. But I always tried to dress for leadership or dress for business whenever I was on an airplane ride. The service always improved. The upgrades came. And part of it was, I believe, my demeanor, as well as my persona, my friendliness, which I hope is very obvious, but I received better service. I also noticed that when I came that way to an office, some of the people got used to me coming that way, and I noticed that there was a certain uptick in the office apparel. In fact, one of my clients had that kind of stuff in mind, so she had a minimal dress code for her office, but she was pleased to see that if she could have me and a few others kind of up the style in the office, and that's what we did, just up the style, 3 or 4 or 5 people, up the style, the rest of the people, either reluctantly or not, began to upgrade their appearance. And that does make a difference. It does. So that's my thought about that. And again, I would love to hear your comments or whatever else you would like to add to it, because right now we need to know how we can better walk into the marketplace, walk into the world with greater confidence, knowing that there is something about who we are. It's reflected, first of all, in our image, but then in our kindness, in our presence, how we listen, and how we perform. Truly, it's part of our costume as much as our performance. And as we say every time, all business is show business. First of all, you have to show up, and you have to be ready to be at your best, on stage, performing in a way that makes a difference in not only what you do, but how you do it, and who is in front of you and who is watching you when you do it. All of that makes a difference. End of talk. Tell me more about lipstick. I would be grateful. We'll be right back. We're in the business of helping you reach your audience, and that means how you look, how you perform, how you treat them, what you say, what wisdom, insight, and truth. We are in the business of helping you grow your audience. And every business has an audience, and everybody who has a career has an audience. In fact, anybody who is any way trying to have a leadership role has an audience, and you better know how to look and how to perform. So I can help you, I believe. So StanHusted@gmail.com. StanHusted@gmail.com. We would love to have a discussion with you and your staff and your colleagues, and we can talk about maybe something that brings us together on how uniform we should be or how appropriate we should be, because it matters. And sometimes it matters a lot. Again, stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com, our What It Takes radio website, witradio.net, witradio.net. Till next time, bye for now.